Welcome to the HerStory Circle podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Matshe, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HerStory Circle. This is Gertrude Matshe here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi there, I'm Katherine Lash, and I'm here in Sedona, Arizona, and I'm so pleased to share the stories that we have. They're so incredible and important. But I do want to say that sometimes those stories can become a little toxic, and that's what happened to me. And so, what I would like to share with you today is the day I gave my story to the ocean and reclaimed my life. So, what happened with me is that I was 39 years old and I was going through a divorce. I had two children after 20 years of marriage. Life the way I thought it was going to be and the way I envisioned it was gone. Everything felt shattered. I felt shattered. And I went on a trip, and when I came back, I found all my belongings out on my mother's lawn, and the locks had been changed in my house, and I had been replaced. And boy, I tell you, with that whole situation going on, I created a story. And I gathered all the questions of why and how come and who's to blame. And I had a story that I told everyone. I told myself that story thousands of times. And one day I was telling my girlfriend, I'm sure she had heard it at least 10 times. I was telling her the story again, and she put her hand up right in front of my face. And she said, I don't want to ever hear that story again. I was shocked. If I don't tell her, who can I tell? But the more I thought about it, I thought, she's right. I need to let that go. So I decided I was going to go to Hawaii and I was going to give it to the ocean. I bought feathers and flowers and candles, and I wrote an angry letter and I tore it to pieces, and I flew over to Hawaii, went down to the beach, set up my little altar there right next to the ocean. And I had all the flowers and the feathers and the candles and the angry letter right there on the beach. I walked in the water, stood about knee deep, and I was ready that day to just release it and surrender it. But wait a minute. A thought rolled in at that moment. And the thought was this story is so big. It is so important. It is so powerful. I need to tell this story. I need people to understand. And if I don't tell it, what in the world am I going to talk about? Am I going to talk about what I had for breakfast, or the next recipe I was coming up with, or the movie I saw last night? Because, all of that seemed really dull in comparison to my story. And right as I was standing there with this thought, a rogue wave came and slapped me in the face. And I thought, wow, even the ocean is telling me to let it go. Even the ocean is saying clear and cleanse. And I was going to. I was ready to. But then another thought rolled in. And that thought was, wait a minute. This story is the known. This is what I know. This is my life. This is my past. This is me. So if I don't have the story, what do I have? What will my future be? The unknown is very scary. The void, if I go into the void, maybe I'll go in a black hole and I'll never come out again. So maybe what I know is safer than the unknown. And while I was thinking these thoughts, another wave surged in and knocked me off my feet. And I stood up and I kind of giggled to myself. And, I had the picture in my mind of the dog that's chasing its tail and getting nowhere. And I thought, I too am chasing my tail, Tale, my tail. I'm getting nowhere with this. And I remember with the trainer coming in to the dog and using a sharp to kind of shock the dog out of the pattern, the incessant barking or obsession with the toy. And the dog's like, wait a minute, I was doing something important here. Why are you breaking what are you doing? But immediately the dog snaps out of it and goes to the present moment. Oh, this is okay. There's more important things to do here. There's food, there's sniffing things, there's grooming. I can't even remember what I was doing. I'm going to go to that, and becomes a dog again. And I giggled because I thought, that's me. That's what I'm doing. And I vowed I am going to let this go. And I walked out of the water to my little altar there, and I said a prayer to the ocean, and I asked the ocean to take it. And I promised I would never tell that story again. And sure enough, she came, the feathers went flying, the flowers went floating, and the angry letter was gone. And I never told that story again. Even at the beginning of this presentation, that wasn't the story. I never told the story again. But I want to share with you 3 things that really helped me fully let go of the story, because that was just the first step. Step 1 is just acknowledging when your story has become toxic and is no longer serving you. In fact, you're reliving the trauma and you're torturing yourself. And also that it cannot be released through language and words. That's what I acknowledged that day. But step 2 was that, wow, I realized that trauma also lives in the body. And we can try to think it through, we can try to talk it out, but it is on a cellular level in our bodies. So we need that somatic release. So what happened was, when I moved forward, and every time I was tempted to tell the story, which I was tempted, instead I brought in vibration and frequency and movement. I would yell and I would sing and I would jump and I would hum and I would drum. All those things would allow me to shake it out, shake it off, and remove it, release it from my body. And then step 3 was linguistic alchemy. I watched the words that I said and I reframed my words. So every time I had those thoughts of, oh, poor me, I was abandoned and this happened and that happened and life will never be the same, I said, no, it is my life and it is time to move forward and manifest what I want. And so when I let go of that toxic story, I was able to live life and move forward and create a beautiful life. And that happened to be a retreat company that served other people and helped people move forward and let go of their stories. So this was so enriching and powerful and felt so good. And indeed, that's what manifested. My future moved forward. And I have never told that story again. Yes, it is amazing when we can do that process.
Catherine, I absolutely love your story. Isn't it funny how we as women give energy to our stories when we hold on to them. And you had a very good friend who thought, I'm enabling her. I'm not going to listen to this anymore.
Either that or she was just sick of it. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. But you going all the way to the beach and having that little ceremony, burning and letting go, releasing what you were holding on to is also very, very powerful.
Yes, yes. It took more than that. But that was step one, is to acknowledge in that moment. And I like the ceremony thing because by actually having that step and that angry letter, it was so visceral instead of me just thinking, oh, I'm going to let go of my story. I actually the wind was blowing, feathers were flying, like it was very visceral. And the angry words were actually going out to the ocean and disappearing right in front of me.
Yes. Now, what did it feel like when your friend said to you, I don't want to listen to this story anymore?
Well, the first moment she said it, I really felt hurt and I felt kind of betrayed. But at the same time, I realized how much I had been repeating it and telling it and how I was stuck in that cycle. And to be honest, I was kind of getting tired of hearing it myself. And so really it was the timing because she had listened many times, but
Yeah.
maybe she sensed that it was time for me to let go and that even I was tired of it. So I really appreciated her doing that.
So, why did you choose the sea? And what did that moment represent to you?
That is such a great question because I thought to myself, how can I get rid of this story? If I'm going to do a ceremony, can I burn it? Shall I send it to the wind? Shall I put it in the water? I was thinking of the elements of the land because the elements are some of the most powerful for, wind can carve rocks, water can carve rocks. I mean, when things go back into the earth takes it back. So all these things are so powerful. And so I was just thinking about those. And to me, the ocean is so big and vast and huge. And I knew in that moment, if a wave were to come, that it would just go. It just would take it all in an instant.
Oh my gosh. So, can you describe what happened in that ritual as if we were standing there with you right now?
You know, Part of the reason too I chose Hawaii is because Hawaii is very feminine
Mm.
and the ocean is very feminine. And I just felt that resonance with, you know, that feminine energy. And
Mhm.
it was to have the sun on my skin and to have the sand under my feet and to stand in the water. It made this whole process so much more real and so much. So I would recommend that for people, not just to write in their journal, I'm going to let go of the story, or to think I'm not going to tell that anymore, but actually to go and do something, actually go to a location, prepare a ceremony. If you need to write a letter, whatever. And wherever it is, if you want to burn it or whatever you want to do with it, but actually go through that what I call a ceremony of release. And at our retreats, we do that. We start every retreat with a ceremony of release. So I
Oh,
used that years later in my own company.
that is just incredible. So, this is now something that has stayed with you, and you're empowering others to release these stories because we give them energy. It's a choice you get to make, right?
Right. And I mean, your podcast is all about her story, which is fantastic because when you have a transformation story where you have
Yes.
overcome and you have learned the lesson, then we're flying high because we all have stories and we all have trauma and we all have dysfunction. The real key here is what are you going to do with it?
Yes.
And how long is it going to take you?
And that's the choice you get to make. That is the choice. So, why do you
Absolutely.
think so many people become attached to their pain stories?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Yes. So that attachment, I think, because when we develop those quote toxic stories or those intense stories, it's usually because we have encountered something. We're in a transitional point. Someone has passed away, or are facing a divorce, or someone betrayed us, or we're feeling lost. We no longer have purpose. We lost our job, whatever it is. And we don't know what's on the other side, and we can be very fearful of, well, what's it gonna be like now?
Yeah.
And because that happens and we don't have our footing on the ground anymore as to where we are headed,
Mm.
then we get a little unstable, and the story is the safe place, as even though it might be filled with anxiety and angst and pain and hurt, and it's still something that's known. It's the safe
Familiar.
place,
Yeah.
because what's out there is requiring you to forge a life and reinvent the self. And that's kind of how they start. And really, though, to what degree we attach to it depends on the tools we have. Because if we don't have enough tools, we'll just take that story instead. And
Yes.
because what's under that story is kind of, it involves some questions like, what happened? What could have I done better? What's happening on the other side, and why did this happen? And all those questions are coming into play. And if
Yeah.
we have the tools of insight and the tools to move forward, then we're less likely to really have that toxic attachment to that story.
I love that. So it's really equipping and arming yourself with the tools. That is the key.
Yeah, and that's why we do sometimes have to reach out to, do a workshop, do a retreat, do a trip where we can decompress. Sometimes we have to get out of that environment, and we
Mhm.
have to do something. We have to reach out to others, and sometimes there's something very valuable about, because our friends know us, they know the situation, they know our tendencies. But when we remove ourselves and we go somewhere, sometimes we can encounter people that are just holding space for us, and there's no judgment, there's no preconceived notions. They're just good listeners, and they're holding that space, and they're listening to what we're saying, and they're bringing our words back to us so we could find our
Mhm.
truth.
So, what are the hardest patterns or beliefs that you had to unlearn after that moment?
Yes, after that moment, you just start asking the greatest questions. I love it because, I had to take a good look at that. Like, what
Mhm.
are my beliefs that are holding me back? And one of it was fear of the unknown. And
Mm.
that kinda goes back to self-esteem, and can I do it? Am I good enough? Am I gonna be able to create something that's amazing? And can I do it by myself? And can I be a single mother? And all those questions of self-love and self-worthiness came into play, and that's why
Mm.
the unknown was so foreign and so scary. But you don't have to have your plan of action 100% laid out. All you have to do is do that little ceremony, put one foot in front of the other, shake it out and release it out of your body. Watch your language, how you talk to yourself and others. And the future and the universe will do it for you. It'll unfold.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, did you ever feel tempted to go back to your old story? If
Oh,
you did, what did
yes.
that look like?
Yes, I did. And I even started to say a couple of sentences in the beginning. Which
Mhm.
you noticed on the podcast, that wasn't the story. That little thing I mentioned was not the story. But I did in the beginning have a couple of sentences, and then I had to retract, like, "Uh-oh, nope, nope, nope."
Go
And it
back.
got Yes, and it got to the point where absolutely not. I'm not even gonna go there at all.
That's amazing. So, how did this experience lead you to create your transformation program?
Yes, so what I did after this whole thing is I came back to Sedona, and I created SpiritQuest Sedona Retreats, my
Okay.
retreat company, and I built this path to transformation. that uses different things such as somatic release and watching the language and many other aspects come into it to help people, like I said, come in and do that releasing ceremony and then using these techniques to help them get the tools and let go of their stories.
I love it. Now, you talk about releasing stories from the body. What does that actually look like in practice? We don't realize that we trap these emotions, these stories in all of our cells, right? When we keep repeating the stories, it's doing something to us physiologically. What does that look like?
You know, I'm glad you asked because my little story that I told, I wondered how much people would resonate with jumping and yelling and screaming and hiking and biking and drumming and doing all those things. It's like, what does that have to do with your story? What does it have to do with your pain, right? But I'm telling you, it has a lot to do with it because we not only get this stuck in our head, but like you said, on a cellular level in our bodies. That's why I've seen people talk it through, release it, and they still got that stiff neck, or they still have that knot in their stomach, or they still have, because it's still living in their bodies. And
Yeah.
somehow, we have every cell has DNA and every cell and all the DNA has memory. So everything that happens to us, we carry in a more holistic way in the emotional body, the physical body, the mental body, and the spiritual body. So it actually can even need to be released in the spiritual body with depression and where we're disconnected from source.
Yes.
So at SpiritQuest, we work on the mind, body, spirit, and releasing it in all aspects of our being. But the physical part is the part that a lot of people, they get those other parts, the emotion. Yeah, I got to let go of the emotion. And spiritual, yeah, I got to be in touch there. And mental, yeah, I got to let it go there. But the physical, yes, the physical. Your body, if you listen to your body, it will tell you so much. It will tell you just as much as your mind's going to tell you. It
Yeah.
will tell you, no, don't go there.
Mm.
It will tell you, yes, this is the path to take. So we need to learn to tune into our bodies and not just our minds and to move. And that's the thing in the day of computers and all of that, being so stagnant and not interacting with nature. And, you know, I think it's super important to continue to move and to breathe and to listen to music and to dance and to do all those things that help clear out
Mm.
angst in the body.
So, how do language and words that we use shape our reality?
Yes, that was the third step. And it's extremely important because, if we do the other steps, we acknowledge it, we shake it off in the body, but we don't watch the words we use, we can end up being in trouble because sort of one thing is saying, hey, I'm letting it go. But the other with our words is like, no, I'm still there. I'm still trapped in it. Words are extremely powerful. And along with the words, we also have relationship, the words we use to talk about other people or talk about ourselves. And we love at SpiritQuest to call that the I thou relationship rather than the I it. Because if I'm treating you or myself as an I it, I'm using you to get something else. If I
Oh,
treat you as an I thou and I treat me as an I thou, even if I disagree what happened and what you said, I'm still going to have honor and respect for you and hold you in high regard that way as a human being. And so the words and how we talk about ourselves and others are extremely important.
important. It's crucial. We create through the power of our words,
Don't
and we
we?
don't even realize it.
No. And I'll tell you, Gertrude, also what I have found when I have worked with people with abuse, sometimes the emotional abuse from
Mm,
words
yeah,
can be just as horrific, if not way worse
than
than any
anything.
rock or stone or whatever. because you can throw a word or two at a person or a child, especially a child that's very innocent. And if they absorb those words, if those words really go in, it can cause bruises, not on the outside that are going to heal, but on the inside that can live on for a lifetime.
Yeah, and even being aware of the words you're using, because once you've said it, you can't take it back. Could be in a relationship, the words that you say to other people. Once it's out, you can't take it back. So you're helping us really remember to be aware. What are the words that are coming out of your mouth? How are they impacting you and others?
Yeah. And take the
Absolutely.
time. You don't have to respond immediately. Take a
No,
breath,
no.
go for a walk, go take a bath. We don't have to respond immediately. We can take the time to gather our words, to say, what do I need to share? What do I need to say? Because maybe in the beginning you thought you needed to share those words, but maybe after reflection, you're like, I really don't need to say that. In fact, it's probably better if I don't say that. Because like you said, you can never take it back once it's out there.
It's gone. So, what is the biggest breakthrough that you've seen in women who apply your work?
Yes, I would say the number one issue, I mean, we have women with many different issues, but the number one
Mhm.
issue is that self-esteem and that self-love and that self-confidence of, believing that they can create something that's magnificent, something that's beautiful, something that will inspire others, that what they have to offer is legitimate and is amazing. They don't need to go to any outside system or find this program.
Yeah.
They just like you when you gave your TED talk, you just be real and you be authentic and you pull in your life,
And that
right?
authenticity is everything. That authenticity is everything. I love it.
Because people
So,
can feel the minute you're inauthentic.
so if there is a woman who is listening to us right now who's feeling stuck, what is the first step that she can take today?
Yes, I would say self-evaluation. Know thyself.
Mhm.
It is really kind of the spiritual path to ask those questions of oneself. What's going on here? How do I feel? What do I need? How do I move forward? And get clear with yourself. You could journal, go on a long walk. And I love to, when I drive, I do a little voice recording and I'll just be ruminating and talking, going on. But sometimes it does help you work through feelings or insights, and then you can revisit it if it's
Yeah.
but that self-reflection is so important. And then how do I support myself? Because you could reach out and have 1,000 people supporting you, but if you don't know how to support yourself, if you don't know how to nurture yourself, if you don't know how to take care of yourself, it all falls apart anyway.
Does. It really does. Oh, you're so right. My last question, I'm going to teleport you into the future this time. And we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you. And she's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her family, whoever's with you at the end. If we could go and meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
Well, I would say I honor you. You you have been down the path. You have made it through so many trials and so many tribulations. And to be honest, at this point in my life, I think, and going forward, I think I could say I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the tools that you gained and the ethical way that you lived your life. And even in the divorce, even in the hard times, you took the higher road. You took the higher road and you try to go to forgiveness rather than spitefulness and meanness and I'm going to get you. So that's what I would say to her is Thank you for taking the higher road.
Oh, that is so beautiful. The reason why I like to ask women that question is a lot of women don't even realize that the wise woman is already in us, that she is that quiet voice that whispers, go left, go right, say yes, say no. But we don't trust her enough.
Right.
She's in us, she's with us. So I have a little game that I like to share that I play with who I am becoming. I have met this woman. I talk to her all the time. There are days when I go into my meditation, my prayers, and I will ask her a simple question like, so what is the next step? I'm stuck. And I sleep on it, right? Then I wake up in the morning and it's like a light bulb moment. I know exactly what to do next. Or I talk about what I'm going through with other people. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Each person brings me a piece to the puzzle and it all comes together beautifully. But I think what you're reminding us is it's all inside. We have to go within for the answers.
Yes, and validate that on a deep level, validate yourself. Absolutely.
I love it. So, Catherine, how can people get hold of you? How are you supporting women? Tell us about your work.
Thank you so much. Yes, so in Sedona here, we have retreats that happen 7 days a week. And we could put together a personalized program or it's built on your own intention, what you're going through. And that's the beauty of our retreats. That's what we're known for is everyone is personalized and built just for you. Now, if then there's other programs, if you want to have a little more economic program, we have group retreats too, twice each month where you can join a whole group. But either way, we have healing retreats, women's retreats, wellness retreats, shamanic retreats, spiritual retreats, healing retreats. We have those different modalities that can, if you're wanting to develop a spiritual practice or if you're wanting to heal from something or if you're wanting to step up your wellness in your body, we have a lot of different programs, even couples counseling. We do a lot of couples counseling.
Nice.
So,
That is fantastic. Well, I've got your website at the bottom of the screen. If anybody out there is looking for support, looking for help, don't do it the hard way. Get somebody who can support you every
come
step.
here, we'll take you out on the red rocks and we'll do a releasing ceremony.
I love it, Catherine. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a woman who is stuck in her story and you see it and you need the support, reach out to Catherine. She's here to support you every step of the way. Or if you know somebody who needs this kind of help, please share this video, tag them, make people aware that this organization exists because we all need support at one point in our lives. So I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Catherine, thanks again for the interview.
Thank you so much.
Don't go away. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Matshe, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story. That was so beautiful. You